What's up, guys? Heatfire Ash here. For this video, I just wanted to have a discussion about Dynamaxing in Pokemon Sword and Shield. So this video is going to be really just a discussion video, not really any gameplay or anything, although I will just be playing a video of me doing some breeding and hatching some eggs in the background while we have a discussion. So if you're not really into discussion videos, I should have some more battle videos coming up in the near future, so you can look forward to those. But for this video, we are going to be talking about Dynamaxing, which of course is the newest mechanic in Sword and Shield. It's kind of the namesake of the game. The last couple series of games, they've been giving us new mechanics, and they're really trying to change up the game and add different things that we can do while playing it. So we're going to discuss whether Dynamaxing overall is a good thing for Pokemon. Is it a good mechanic? And to basically talk about that, I'm going to be using three main criteria to discuss whether it is good. So the first one is going to be, is it fun? Is it a fun mechanic to use? Is it balanced for battles, for competitive, all that? And also, is it easy to use and understand? So those are kind of the three main criteria I'd like to go over talking about this Dynamax mechanic in Pokemon Sword and Shield. Please do like this video, guys, if you do enjoy these kind of discussion videos, and please comment, because I really want these discussions to not just be me, but really to be a discussion about the whole community and all you guys who watch my videos. I really want to know what your thoughts are on Dynamax, and I'll try to reply to as many comments as I can. So please let me know in the comments what you guys think of Dynamax. So on to the first topic, fun. Is this mechanic fun? So overall, I think yes. I think this is a fun mechanic. I think it accomplishes that very well, and that's probably the best thing about Dynamaxing, in my opinion. For one, it creates unique battle scenarios. Being able to Dynamax your Pokemon and have these more powerful attacks, have these more powerful Pokemon being able to live moves you wouldn't normally be able to live and stuff. It creates different battles that you would have never been able to have normally. Which is good. That's a good thing. Diversity generally is pretty good, and getting to try new strategies, new things out, I really do enjoy, and I'm glad that Dynamax allows that to happen. For instance, if we just didn't have Dynamax, it was just kind of the normal field, it could be a little boring. We kind of want something to shake it up, and I think the fact that Dynamax does allow for these different scenarios and different Pokemon even that maybe wouldn't have as much use normally, but being able to Dynamax it makes it so much stronger. Stuff like, I think of Mudsdale in particular as a Pokemon that really didn't see any use that I can remember. I am new to VGC, but watching the couple regionals and worlds and stuff of the past couple years, I don't ever remember seeing that being used. What's being used is the Dynamax, because of that extra health boost, because of the more powerful attacks. So it is cool that it creates different scenarios and different Pokemon viable. So that is a very good thing, and I think a very fun aspect. Another thing is just the feel of it. It feels good. I mean, these large animations, these large models we have, it looks really cool. They're just, growing in size, these big, powerful attacks, these awesome animations that they have. Like, it feels good and it feels powerful when you're doing it. And I think from that standpoint, that's important, because especially for the casual crowd who maybe doesn't even care about competitive at all, they do get that sense of like having a powerful Pokemon on the field. You really can feel that from Dynamax, and I think that they really accomplished that really, really well with Dynamax. So overall, I think they knocked it out of the park on the fun factor. Absolutely, it is a very fun mechanic. Now, on to balance. Is it balanced? No, I don't think Dynamax is balanced at all. And it's kind of funny that originally they said they wouldn't put in, the entire Pokedex because they said of balance problems. But they gave us Dynamax. Dynamax is not balanced. It's not balanced at all. So if we compare this to the past couple new mechanics we've gotten, which were Z moves and Mega Evolution. So if you don't know, Z moves, they are a crystal. It's an item that your Pokemon holds, and it lets you have a one-time use of a more powerful move. Now, these moves were usually more powerful than the Dynamax moves, right? So a Dynamax move, you might have 130, 140, 150 base power, depending on the move. Plus, you get the extras of, Max Airstream, boost speed. But for Dynamax, you could have, 180 base power, a lot higher, quite a bit higher. Also, certain other moves that were not damaging moves would get upgraded into Z moves. There was one for, I believe, Eevee. I forget what it was called exactly, but it would boost all of Eevee's stats by 2. So that was a special move. We don't have that with Dynamax, but the thing that mainly differentiates the two is that although Dynamax, the power level is slightly less, and I mean, it's a little bit less, right? You're going from 180 to 150. That's 30 base power. That's not a crazy difference. On the other hand, though, the Dynamax moves have the extra advantage of the stat boost. You're either lowering something on your opponents, or you're boosting your own, or you're setting terrain or like sandstorm, something like that, which is obviously very powerful in and of itself. So when you compare all the extras that Dynamax get to the more powerful Z moves, I think they're pretty much even. They're at least even. Dynamax might even be a little better, but they're at least even, right? Of course, Z move, you're using your item slot, so no item at all. Not to mention, it's a one-time use. You're not being able to use that 3 times in a row. You get 1 time. So it's a decision. You're choosing on that Pokemon. You're sacrificing your item for that Z move. And you can only use 1 per battle. So, you know, if you had multiple Z move crystals on your team, you're only using 1 of them per battle. So you had definite trade-offs there. Now with Mega Evolutions, which is where you would once again sacrifice your item. You'd have to have the Mega Stone or whatever. So that's sacrificing your item, and then it would evolve into a more powerful Pokemon. So you would get better stats, basically better stats all around, sometimes incredibly better. I think of Metagross going from like a measly speed to like a 110 speed. Like that's a huge increase, right? So large base stat increase on defenses, health, attack, special attack, all that, speed. Huge increase. Once again, though, you got 1 Mega Evolution a game. So if you have multiple Megas, you got to pick and choose. Also, once again, no item. Okay, Mega Evolution, you're wasting your item. Dynamax does not require an item at all. You're able to Dynamax any Pokemon regardless of the item, so you still get the item. You got that Life Orb on your Charizard, you Dynamax that Charizard, you still get the Life Orb. Okay, that's crazy. That's crazy. So when we're comparing Megas to Dynamax, Dynamax doubles the HP. In some cases, that can be better than boosted stats. Now, obviously, that's not increasing damage, although we'll get to that in a second. But it is boosting the survivability, which basically all Megas were gaining survivability. But I believe, really, that doubling the HP is probably more survivability than most Megas we're going to get. I mean, doubling HP is insane. Now, obviously, Megas can last for the whole game, and Dynamax lasts for 3 turns, and then you go back down to your normal HP. Except for the fact that, like, most of the time, Megas, like, they're not going to last more than 3 turns anyway. Like, they could, obviously. But if they are, you're probably either in a winning position or a bad position, depending. If you have a Mega last for more than 3 turns, you're probably in a winning position. Your opponent's obviously having trouble dealing with that. So I don't think that's that big of a downside to Dynamax. Not to mention that you are also getting the damage boost, not in stats, but in the attacks. So overall, Dynamax is definitely more powerful than Megas. We are getting that double HP, we're getting better attacks, and we don't have to sacrifice our item. Not to mention, from a team building standpoint, when you would see a Salamence on your opponent's team, when you'd see a Kangaskhan, you basically know that they're going to be Megas, because they're just the more powerful version. You could say they're going to be Megas, right? On a team in Sword and Shield, you have no idea. They could Dynamax any Pokemon. They could Dynamax any of them. So there's no trade-off with Dynamax. You're not sacrificing anything to do it. You're getting only an advantage, which from a team building perspective, from a team building perspective, I think you need the trade-offs. I definitely think you need the trade-offs, and it makes it more interesting to have to pick and choose what's good and what's bad about certain things. Okay, Counterplay. There's like no counterplay to Dynamax. Now I will say, Megas, there's not really counterplay either. Overall, I do think Megas is a lesser power level than Dynamax, but people complained about Megas, and I think Dynamax is worse. But there's basically no counterplay to Dynamax. A couple things you can do. You can do trick or switcheroo with eject button. See some people do that, where you can just send it back, and then the Dynamax ends if it's retreated. You can Dynamax yourself if that's... I don't know that that's really a counter, but it's something you can do, and often you have to do, or you'll just get one shot. And you can try to stall it out, and this really only works if you already are set up with a Pokemon that has a move that can stall, something like Snarl, a tanky Pokemon with Snarl, that you can just over and over again try to lower your opponent's special attack, or something similar to that. But even then, they're still dealing damage to you, and they're still so powerful that you're not knocking them out. You're just trying to just weather the storm, basically. So there's very little counterplay. And not to mention, if you guys follow Pokemon Showdown at all, Smogon overused that tier. They banned Dynamax in singles. Now, I think Dynamax is even more broken in singles than doubles, and I don't have a ton of experience with singles, but just the fact that Smogon's always been known as sort of the standard almost for balance, and they try to make these different tiers to keep everything balanced. The fact that they decided to ban it really shows how badly balanced Dynamax is. Okay, so after balance, last, ease of use. So for a new player just playing the game, playing through, maybe they do some battles, the battle tower. How easy is it to use? It's extremely easy to use. You just hit Dynamax and you're golden. You get the Dynamax form. There's nothing you have to worry about. You don't have to worry about items. Like I said before, Z moves. You got to put the Z move on the Pokemon. You got to decide that beforehand. And for something like Megas, well, you got to go out and find the Mega Stones. You only get a certain amount through playing the game. You got to kind of hunt down the other ones. So a little bit easier to use than Megas, I would say. But beyond that, I think they're really not intuitive at all. And I think this is probably the biggest problem. And Pokemon's always been a game that's been easy to play overall. It's easy to understand. You have your Pokemon, you do attacks, you try to knock out the other Pokemon. Dynamax kind of just throws a wrench in this because there are so many things that don't work with Dynamax, and there's no way of knowing this unless you just actually do it, unless you run into the situation. Okay, I'll go over a couple. Dynamax are immune to Fake Out. Okay, Fake Out will not flinch a Dynamax Pokemon. They will hit through 33% of Protect. They will be immune to Roar and Whirlwind, so they can't get knocked out or sent back by that. They bypass Choice Items effects. So, like, Choice Item usually will lock you into one attack. Well, if you Dynamax, you're free to use any of the attacks. You also lose the item's effect, too. They're immune to Red Card, which normally if you attacked a Pokemon with Red Card, you would get sent back. That does not work. Also, they cannot be damaged by moves that have to deal with weight. So stuff like Heavy Slam or Low Kick. Those do not affect Dynamax Pokemon at all. You also cannot use Instruct, the move from Oranguru that lets you use an attack twice. You cannot use that on Dynamax Pokemon. And I'm sure there are more. Those are just the ones I could think of off the top of my head. But these are all mechanics that are all through the game. None of these work with Dynamax, and there's just no notation of this anywhere. Like I said, the only reason you would know these as a player is by using them and running into it. I know I was doing some raids early on in the game, and I kept trying to use Low Kick against some Pokemon, Dynamax Pokemon in a raid, and it kept failing. And I'm like, why is this failing? This would be so good. They probably weigh like 1,000,000 pounds, right? Nope, you can't do it. So from that standpoint, I think Dynamax is just poorly designed in that these things don't work, and there's just no write-up or anything that really explains that. And I think Pokemon Game Freak could have done a better job in that area. And really, that's kind of the main qualm I have with it. Obviously, balance is a problem. Of course, part of playing competitive is learning about the new mechanics and the broken mechanics and playing around them and learning how to best make your team around these new mechanics and best dealing with them. So that's kind of a part of it. And although I don't think they're balanced, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. I do prefer Megas and Z Crystals over it. Like if I had the choice, I would pick those over Dynamax. But in the end, I really wish they just did a better job of either explaining what you can and cannot do against Dynamax instead of just making players have to figure it out all on their own. But anyway, that's basically my thoughts on Dynamax, guys, but please do leave a comment down below. I really do want to know your thoughts on this Dynamax mechanic. What do you think? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you not agree with what I said? Do you think what I said is correct? Let me know. I do want to read those, and I'm just curious of what the community has to say about Dynamax. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching this. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you did enjoy this video, and I'll catch you all in the next one.